Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. Just got off work, heading home. It was honestly one of those days, probably the first day of the holiday season, that you clock in, and then it feels like you're pretty much just clocking out to go home because you work so hard all day that you don't even really notice how much crap you've done. But WWE's Royal Rumble up around the corner. WWE doing a push to really get people fired up for the Royal Rumble. It seems like they're still selling tickets, and I'll tell you this much, I'm surprised that the Royal Rumble is not a sellout. It seems like the Rumble sells out each and every year because of the fact that it's the Rumble. It's the first step on the road to WrestleMania, and it's a big fun event. I'm lucky enough to be able to say that I went to 2 Royal Rumbles. One of them, I treated like more of a big deal at the time. I believe it was like 2000. Shit, I'm gonna expose myself. What kind of a wrestling fan I really am. I want to say it was 2012. Me and Freaking 88, we made the plan that we were gonna go to the Royal Rumble because of the fact we weren't going to WrestleMania that year. That was the year of WrestleMania 29. In New York, and there was this, that, and the other why we didn't plan on going that year. Ravi ended up going, and a lot of other people did. I missed out on seeing Puff Daddy perform at WrestleMania Victory, one of my favorite songs of all time. I missed not seeing the 9/11 thing, and I really missed not hanging out with Bobby, the Lorenzos, Danny, a lot of other people that went to that year's WrestleMania that I never got a chance to hang out with. But the other one was 2002 in Atlanta, and that was in my hometown. So we just happened to buy tickets. Me and my buddy Christian, we sat up in the cheap beer drinking seats up top. We had a lot of fun that night, but it was. I'll say the truth, at the time I really wasn't watching a lot of wrestling. That was right before my move to California, and we had bought the tickets, but because Christian got a different job, I wasn't even sure that we were going until he came to pick me up the day of the event, and we drove out there. But I know that the show's in Tampa. I can tell you that it's one of those special events. There's a few every year that you point at, and it's like, man, I really wish I could go to that show, whether it's like Money in the Bank, whether if it's like the Survivor Series. But the Rumble each and every year is a really special, really fun event. I'll tell you, from the last Royal Rumble I went to, the only thing that got old was the fact that everybody stands up every single time the countdown comes on to like prepare to cheer for whoever comes out. And now that they have 2 Rumbles, they have the women's and the men's, I think that would get really exhausting. And that's like the old man in me coming out, complaining about cheering for a wrestler, giving them a pop when they come out. But this year's Royal Rumble, I'm guessing it looks like, when CM Punk came back, we were really throwing things out there like, man, this year's Royal Rumble is going to be huge. You've got CM Punk, who's going to be a big deal. You've got Cody Rhodes, who was like coming into this as like one of the leaders to actually win the Royal Rumble because he needs to finish the story and go to WrestleMania against Roman Reigns. You've got Seth Rollins, who's always looking to get up the card into a main match. And there's Drew McIntyre, who wants to complete his story. You've always got the surprises of people coming in. Right now with the 2 big companies, pretty much everybody is kind of locked up, and there's no real like surprise free agents that really have a chance to come in and win the Royal Rumble. But there's always a chance of somebody coming back. I mean, Shane McMahon, I'm pretty sure, was in like the Final 4 the year before last, or sometime soon. So you never really know. Maybe some guy comes up from NXT and then wants to make a splash on the main roster right away. But now it seems like they just put people from NXT in the Rumble, and it doesn't mean that they're getting promoted to the main roster. It's just a night of work for him, just to go out there and show off, and then hopefully that can give them the rub to like somebody wants to watch NXT on USA to see a guy like Carmelo Hayes or something like that. So we'll have to see. I'm always rooting for Braun Breaker. I want to see him win that thing. I think that he's going to be a big deal in WWE sooner than later. It's just a matter of once they put him on the main roster, actually finding a way to use him and actually keep using him in a big deal. Because I think that honestly, NXT has always been really good for a lot of guys, but the transition period, when you switch over from being on the NXT, the writing staff taking care of you to putting you on Raw or SmackDown, it seems like they drop the ball on you right away. Whether it means like the writers aren't prepared, they don't really. They're not used to your character and how you'd fit in, but very rarely do you see somebody come in at NXT to the main roster and just knock it out of the park. But this year you really look and see what's going on. Punk and Cody, they're definitely going to be the two of the main leaders on the board. I think that each and every year, you get to the Rumble, sometimes it's just flat obvious who's going to win. Like the year Rollins won, the year Nakamura won, the year Alberto Del Rio won, the year Sheamus won. It just was too obvious because it's the only person on the roster who's hot at that time that they've had the kettle on for a while. And they just really haven't gone full board. They're just we're just gonna let this guy win all the way until we get there. I think the year that Sheamus won the Rumble, I think he had that loss to Mark Henry at SummerSlam, and then he didn't lose another match until after WrestleMania. That guy just won, no matter if it was against a main guy, whether if it was a job guy, whether if it was a mid-card guy, just won dominant faction, and just kept pushing up all the way. I'll tell you the truth, I'm a Cody fan. Cody kind of seems like the one guy in the company that I really care about. The fact of he has a big match on Raw or on SmackDown or maybe on a pay-per-view, I'm going to tune in and I'm going to make sure I see, even if it's just I watch that one match, it's the one match that I care about. CM Punk, he has me right now. I'll tell you the truth. I'm not a big fan of his. I think you go through my t-shirt collection. I've got a few t-shirts. I still got my Straight Edge Society one. I had to retire my Best in the World one because it just, I think when I bought it at the Raw in San Diego, I think they gave me a size too small, and those ringer shirts, they run small already, and it had to go. It was hanging on. It's a good shirt. I hope they re-release it someday, but it had to go. And I have his AEW shirt from his debut night. I know he had a few shirts when he was there, but just what I think of as the main one. But it happens, he comes in, he makes a big splash. I care about him, and then before long, it kind of just wears off to just he's just a dude to me. But I think I get excited because I know the wrestling world is fired up for him being there. And hey, I would love to see CM Punk. His storyline's pretty awesome. I mean, he walked out of WWE before WrestleMania 30. We're coming up on WrestleMania 40. So in my eyes, there's a 10-year gap, that he was doing UFC, drawing his comic books, wrestling for AEW, and now he's back home, where he says he's saying all the right things. People right now really aren't fired up for his promos. A lot of people are kind of losing him because these promos, he's not just coming out and dropping straight pipe bombs each and every week. They gotta understand that he's a baby face. He can't be really just ripping into people as of right now. But once we get to see who the real CM Punk is, who this character is going to be, and how he fits into WWE. I think that's when you're going to get the real promos. Right now, he's on kind of like the apology tour. He's not saying he's sorry, but he's making friends. He's kissing babies. And that's, just kind of where we are. It was cool to see him show up on NXT. I think that's him kind of turning a new leaf. Kind of like, he'll do what WWE needs him to do. And sometimes that's what it's going to be. So I would love to see him win it, but I just honestly, I still feel like this is Cody's year. And, with the storyline of, AEW, and I don't know, I'm kind of one of those people who believes in a lot of conspiracy theories, and a lot of people still wonder, what was the disagreement that led to Cody, going to WWE. I think that there's, hey, you created this, you're one of the main people in this company, you're making a lot of money, you're pretty much like the main guy. You came out and said that you didn't want to be champion. Maybe that's because he didn't want to lose the locker room. Maybe he learned that from his father. That's kind of a mistake. You can be one of the main guys without being the champion. You don't have to be carrying the belts around all the time. That they did that whole thing with MJF turning on him when he said that he would never get another title shot in AEW if he didn't win that one. Why he would just, say, hey, I'm leaving, and go back to WWE. Because honestly, a lot of people say that he's trying to, finish the storyline of his father. I think when people think about Dusty Rhodes, you don't really think about the WWF, because they've brainwashed us to the point of, like, when you think of, like, Dusty Rhodes and the WWF, you think of, like, the polka dots. Some people think it was a rib. Some people think that it was Vince holding him down, and they were never supposed to be one of the main guys in the company. They wanted to treat him like he was like a laughingstock because he was from the opposition. He was from the NWA. He was from WCW, so they couldn't put him over. They couldn't make him look good, because that would make people think, like, well, if this guy came from there and he's good, maybe we should watch that. Maybe they got a good show going on over there. Kind of like the opposite of what they did once they brought Ric Flair over in late '91, with him bringing the actual belt, calling himself the real world champion, saying, hey, you might have won that over there, but it doesn't mean anything here. And him still pushing it, him and Bobby Heenan saying, this is the real belt, this is the real belt. There had to have been somebody who's like, well, this is a real belt, let's see who else is over there. So I don't know. I just honestly don't get, some people said they just wanted to get Roman to 1,000 days. 1,000 days was a while ago. And we've had, SummerSlam, we had, big shows between then and now, that I believe that, if they wanted Roman to drop that belt, he would have dropped it. Obviously, the story is, keeping Roman going, looking for the right time to do it. In my eyes, if it's supposed to be monumental, there's no other time better than WrestleMania. I think Cody's got to win this Rumble. Cody's got to go to WrestleMania 40. I know there's no real ties to, like, Cody in Philadelphia, but if WrestleMania 40 is supposed to be monumental, because of the fact it's, like, on the 10th anniversary, like, 10 isn't that good of a WrestleMania, but it was a big deal because they did it for 10 years. 20, they kind of gave it the same treatment, because of the fact that, it was back in Madison Square Garden, and they had a lot of, really good matches. But 30 in New Orleans, people thought that they were going to blow the roof off that dome. I'll tell you the truth. I mean, I think it delivered. I think, honestly, it's one of the best WrestleManias of all time. People look at it as like the Undertaker loss, but they gave us what we wanted. they knew that for us to walk away happy, Daniel Bryan had to be the main guy in the main event, and that's what they gave us. And it wasn't even on the paper, months before that show, or they would have had him win the Rumble. And instead, he was like in a tag team with Bray Wyatt, and they're like, you know what? This isn't what people want. Let's give it to him. So, I mean, 40. I think you got to go out there and do him. You could do Rollins versus Punk. Rollins doesn't look like he's going to be in the Rumble because more than likely he's going to be defending his World Heavyweight Championship. So, hey, why not? I think it's Cody. I'd put my money on him. That's what I think's going to happen. Cody win the Rumble.